All right, let's dive in. We're going to talk about something that pretty much runs our entire world, but most of us never ever see it. It's this incredible, super high-stakes journey of how metals get traded all over the planet.
Seriously, have you ever stopped to think about it? You pick up a soda can, right? But how did the aluminum in that can get from some mine, maybe halfway across the world, to a factory and then eventually into your hand? It's not magic. Well, there's a name for this whole process. It's called the commodity trading life cycle. And you can think of it as the secret instruction manual, this invisible roadmap that makes sure all the stuff that builds our world gets where it needs to go.
So here's what we're going to do. We'll walk through the whole thing, what this journey looks like, how a deal actually gets made in the digital age, the crazy risks involved, and how it all wraps up, and most importantly, why you should even care about it.
Okay, let's kick things off with the big picture. What is this invisible journey, really? Basically, it's the entire playbook for a trade, from start to finish. I mean, everything. From the moment a deal is struck, all the way through shipping, delivery, and finally getting paid. It's the whole shebang, the A to Z master plan for moving raw materials.
So where does a journey like this even start? It all begins with the deal. And today, that deal isn't just a handshake, it's born and raised in the digital world.
Okay, so picture this. A buyer and a seller are hammering out the details. They're agreeing on the price, how much they're selling, let's say 10,000 tons of copper, the quality, when it'll be delivered. The second they agree on it, bam, the deal is captured. That just means every single one of those details gets plugged into a central computer system.
And that central system? It has a name. It's called a CTRM, or an ETRM system. Honestly, the best way to think about it is as the central brain, or maybe air traffic control for the whole operation. It tracks everything, every detail, every cost, every risk. It's the one place where everyone, from the traders to the shipping guys to the finance department, can look and see exactly what's going on with that trade at any given moment.
All right, so the deal is locked in the system. Easy part's over. Now comes the really tricky part. Because, the deal might be digital, but the 10,000 tons of copper are very, very real. And they still have to get from one side of the world to the other. This is where digital promises meet messy, unpredictable reality.
And during this whole middle part of the journey, things are happening on two parallel tracks. You've got the physical track. People are booking giant container ships, finding warehouse space, getting insurance. And then you've got the financial track. Risk managers are glued to their screens, using that CTRM system to guard against the market going haywire.
And when we talk about risk, there are really two big kinds they're worried about. First is market risk. Simple question. What if the price of that copper completely tanks while it's on the ocean? That's a huge problem. Then you've got operational risk. This is the physical stuff. What if a hurricane delays the ship or there's a strike at the port? Both of these things can wreck a deal if you're not prepared.
And that really is the whole point of this middle stage, right? It's not just about getting metal from A to B. It's about making sure the value of that deal is protected every step of the way. You have to ensure the deal you end with is the same one you started with.
Okay, so the metal has survived its long journey, the risks had been managed, now it's time to stick the landing. We're at the final stage, the handover. This last part is really about closing all the loops. There are three big steps. First, settlement. That's when all the money changes hands. The final payments, the fees, all of it. Then, delivery. The buyer officially gets their hands on the physical metal. And last, reconciliation. This is the big double check, making sure every single number in the real world matches up perfectly with what's in the computer system.
And here's the thing you have to remember. When this final step goes smoothly, it's not luck. It's because every single step that came before it was done right. If someone made a tiny mistake way back at the beginning, this is where it blows up into a huge, expensive headache.
So that's the journey of one single trade. But let's pull the camera back. Why does any of this matter? Why is this invisible system so important?
Well, the scale is just mind-blowing. We're talking about trillions of dollars worth of stuff, metals, oil, grain, moving around the planet every single year using this exact process. This isn't some small corner of the economy. This is the operating system for global manufacturing.
And that brings us full circle, right back to that soda can. The aluminum in that can, the steel in our cars, the copper wiring in our phones, all of it exists because this unbelievably complex system is humming along, silently, in the background. It's making sure the basic building blocks of modern life get where they need to go, right when they need to be there.
So yeah, this whole system is like the invisible engine powering our world.
It's pretty amazing, and it works millions of times a day. But all that complexity also shows you just how connected and maybe how fragile everything is. Which leaves you with a pretty big question to think about. This system is great when it works, but what happens